ladies, gentlemen, and everyone that knows Will Robinson needed more than a warning. Welcome to the Wednesday Night Joke Net here on the 146715 repeater. I am KE8PVL, your net control for the evening. My name is Nemo, November Echo Mike Oscar, and I am located in Denmark Township. Before I go any further, is there anyone that needs this repeater for emergency or priority traffic? All right, nothing heard. If anybody does need the repeater for emergency or priority traffic, please break in at any time with break entry call sign. We will gladly concede the repeater for the duration of your emergency. Again, this is the Wednesday Night Joke Net here on the 146715 repeater. This is a directed net and all traffic should go through net control. Everyone with a valid amateur radio license is encouraged to participate, and everybody else that's listening to us on scanners or just huddled around your radio or following us on social media, we appreciate you too. This net meets every night on this repeater at 8, or every Wednesday night on this repeater at 8 p.m. The purpose of this net is to have fun making each other laugh, coming up with crazy punchlines for this week's joke. This is a 3-round net, so please stick around or we may miss something. All right, before I go down the list of regular check-ins, let me just say this repeater is owned and operated by the Ashtabula County Amateur Radio Club. It's an open repeater available for public use. You can get to this repeater via RF and obviously that's RF, which is what a lot of us are connecting to it with. It has a negative offset PL tone of 141.3 and an Echolink if you're connecting that way, node of NHCT-L. Please treat the repeater like it's got a 2-minute timeout and allow for clean breaks between transmissions, and other than that, we are good to go. Let me take a quick break for time. We'll go down the list of regular check-ins and we'll see who else here tonight. I suppose it would help if I had a pen in my hand, but that's okay. I got it now. We'll start out the top of the list here with Jeff, KC8 LAR.
KC8 LAR, present.
All right, Jeff, appreciate you being here tonight. As always, good to hear you on the radio, my friend. How about Wayne, Alpha Charlie 8, Yankee Juliet?
Alpha Charlie 8, Yankee Juliet.
All right, we got 2 in the books tonight. How about Vito, Alpha 8, Delta Lima?
Well, I think you're lost in space, Nemo, because my call sign's Alpha Delta 8, Oscar India. Back to net. Plus the XYL.
I guess I could clean my glasses and I might remember call signs better. But we're trained amateurs and I put your guess down in the logbook. How about that with the +1? We'll go down to Joe. We'll reach out to him, see if he's here. W8KNO.
W8KNO is here.
All right, Joe. Appreciate you being here tonight. We'll go up to Canada and we'll see if our good friends across the lake are there. Victor, Echo 6, X-Ray, Tango Charlie. Bruce, are you with us tonight?
Indeed I am with you guys, and I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Very good, very good. The big pond just to the north of me here, my understanding is it's frozen over. We could take a walk and meet out in the middle sometime. All right, we'll keep on going down the list. We'll see if Ken is with us tonight, KE8YBN. He's probably over at Bible study, or maybe he's square dancing. Either one, that's fine. He'll probably check in a little bit here. We'll reach out to Cleveland Heights. Dave, K8TIE, are you with us tonight?
Cancel a call. Please press and hold the help button for 2 seconds now. cancel.
Sorry about that. I hit my fall detector just when I was starting to call there. I think he does need more than just a warning. He needs a four-dimensional compass so that he can get himself unlost in space. KATIE. Back to the net.
All right, we got two good answers in the log tonight. How about it, Frank K8ZHH? Are you with us tonight, sir?
Advantage proven.
All right, very good. Thanks for being here with us tonight. Appreciate it. We'll reach out to Dan. I thought I heard his call sign, N8DRL.
NADRL, I'm here in the hall there, and I pretty much have the paperwork to prove it.
All right, very good, Dan. Appreciate you being here tonight, and a little bit more of you tonight than maybe in weeks past. That's okay. We appreciate you being here. Now let's try this call sign for real. Alpha 8 Delta Lima. Drew, you joined us last week. Are you with us this week?
I am here this week, Nemo.
All right, Drew. Appreciate you being here tonight. And we got a couple more on the list from last week to check in. We'll try Chris, KE8YQL. Well, nothing heard there. I know he's not sitting by his printer, his 3D printer there. He'd be picking up the radio. I know that. We did have Ruth Ann join us last week. KE8ZVO, are you with us tonight? All right, nothing heard. And we've got Tom, KE8QWG. Are you with us tonight, sir? All right, nothing heard there. That guy's a busy guy. He's probably back out on the road again for a little while longer. Man, that's the life of a traveling fabricator, I guess. All right, that rounds out the list as I have it. Is there anybody else that would like to check in? Please call K8PVL with the Wednesday Night Joke Net. All right, nothing heard. We've got you guys locked in. Thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate all you. It's been a nice past couple days, even though you'd think 20 degrees wouldn't be a nice day, but compared to what we've been getting the last couple days, 20-degree weather, it's been kind of nice and going outside there. So let's go ahead and we'll get into this week's joke. This week's joke is, I like to keep things on a theme here sometimes. So this week's joke is, what kind of bug lives on the moon? What kind of bugs live on the moon? And, oh man. We'll just, we'll go to Dan. We'll start with Dan, N8DRL. Dan, good to have you with us, sir. What kind of bugs live on the moon?
Well, I was trying to think, but I could not think that fast. So fast, you could have your first stumper, an 8-0.
All right, one stumper in the books. That's okay. I got plenty more and where that came from. We'll go to Drew, Alpha 8 Delta Lima. What kind of bugs live on the moon? Yeah, roger, roger.
I'm just going to go with fireflies. I know that probably sucks, but that's the best I can come up with quick. Back to net control.
The Fireflies is a good answer. I like that one, and one of my favorite shows. Absolutely. We'll go up the top of the list here. We'll go to Jeff, KC8 LAR. What kind of bugs live on the moon?
I think Drew stole my thunder. I was going to say fireflies, so same. Back to net control.
All right, we got 2 for Fireflies. That's a good one. I like that answer. How about it, Wayne, Alpha, Charlie 8, Yankee Juliet? What kind of bugs live on the moon?
Oh, I'm going to have to say lightning bugs, or that's my guess for today. I'm going to have to shut down for the night, I guess. I'm tired and I got to get up very early in the morning. 73, Alpha Charlie 8, Yankee Juliet.
All right, very good, Wayne. Thank you for checking in with us tonight. Appreciate it. Appreciate the answer to the joke round. I'll lock you in as station secure. Thank you for being here tonight, and hopefully we'll talk to you later on down the log, my friend. How about Vito, Alpha, Delta 8, Oscar, India? What kind of bugs live on the moon?
Since you're sticking with the theme, I will stick with the theme from last week's joke as well. My answer is cheesy ones, and Timmer's answer is lunatics. Lunatics. Back to net. Delta 8 Oscar India.
All right, 2 good answers there. Appreciate that. We'll keep on moving. We'll go out to Hiram, W8, KNO Joe. What kind of bugs live on the moon?
Good evening. I'm going to say crater borers. Crater borers.
All right, I like that answer too. That's a good one. Okay, we'll go down. We'll reach out to Bruce, Victor Echo 6, X-Ray Tango Charlie. What kind of bugs live on the moon?
Lunatics. Yeah, that's my answer. Lunatics.
All right, we got 2 for that, and we'll keep going. And we'll go to Dave, KATA. Dad, what kind of bugs live on the moon?
Well, actually, I don't think the bugs are themselves cheesy, but certainly they like green cheese. KTA, back to net control.
All right, very good. Some bugs that eat green cheese. How about it, Frank? KEHZHH, you're last on the list here. What kind of bugs live on the moon?
A lot of great answers out there. I can't think of a real good answer. I'm just going to say blue bugs. Blue bugs. K-E-Z-H-H. Back to net control.
All right, not only is that a good answer, but it's one that you'll only see once in a blue moon, those blue bugs. Very good. Appreciate that. All right, this is K8PBL with the Wednesday Night Joke Net. And before I get into the answer for this week's joke, is there anybody else that would like to check in? Please call. All right, nothing heard. Well, tonight's joke, what kind of bugs live on the moon? My answer is indeed lunatics. Of course, that could be certain people living on the moon too, I guess. So everybody that got that one in there, and other great answers too. I especially like the blue bugs. That's a good one. Get them in there. All right, very good. So I only have a couple of quick announcements tonight, and then we'll get into why everybody's really here. So let's start down that list of announcements. We'll just go right into the Aries District 10 Ashtabula County Emergency Services Training Net is every Monday night here on this repeater at 8 p.m. That's 146715, negative offset, PL tone 141.3, and an Echolink node of N8CT-L. Ashtabula County Amateur Radio Club runs their weekly net on this repeater every Thursday night at 8 p.m. So check them out too. Same sandbox. Yeah. Come join them and check out their net. All right. If you do have any announcements you'd like to put on this net, I will gladly relay them for you. Feel free to drop me a line and however you get a hold of me, and I will make sure it gets put up there as best I can. All right. Thank you for sitting around with the announcements. I got one more for next week, but that's okay. We don't have to do that until next week. Man, let's just start right into it. We'll go right into why everybody's really here. We'll start with Dan, NADRL. How's your leg, man, and what you got for the group?
Well, lunatics can live on the moon. I guess I live on the moon. You know, there's good news and bad news. I'm not going to get into that all out right now. But I am watching a little bit right now. Putting weight on it. It's swollen a little bit though. And other than that, we're doing pretty good. Been walking around a little bit more and more every day.
Oh, well, that's great news, my friend. I'm glad to hear it. And just stick with the physical therapy stuff and what they tell you to do. And man, just go right to town on that. And don't push it any harder than you absolutely have to as far as making it work. Obviously, you got to build. But injuries are not conducive to training, as my Taekwondo instructor used to say. All right, very good. We'll keep on going down the list here. We'll talk to we'll talk to Drew. Alpha 8, Delta Lima, good to have you with us tonight, my friend. What do you got for everybody?
Nothing too new or exciting around here. My big event of the week is my Doberman. I don't know, some of you guys remember Carol from a couple years ago at Winterfield Day. I had her out there, and she was tiny. Well, she's like 75 pounds now and fully grown and was ready to get spayed, so that happened yesterday. So I've just been convalescing with her the last 24 hours or so, or day and a half. And everything's going good, and they had to do some tests because she's a Doberman, and I guess there's some heart defect that's genetic, and they tested her for that, and they came back that she's not predisposed to that, so that was very good news. That's all I've got. Back in net control, Alpha 8, Delta Lima.
Well, I don't know what the Doberman equivalent of chocolate and wine is, but I'm sure you're doing the right thing there and taking care of it the best way you can. So good on you there for that, and hopefully speedy recovery to your dog. And yeah, I'm glad to hear she's in good health. Very good, sir. And we'll go up to Jeff, KC8 LAR. Good to have you with us tonight. What do you got for the group?
Good evening, Nemo. Everyone else on that? Not a whole lot. Just relaxing tonight. Had good dinner with the wife and good digestion. So just sitting in the shack with good company. So the night's complete. Nothing else going on here. So with that, we'll pass it back to net control. This is KC8LAR.
All right, very good. Thanks for keeping us in the list of good company. And the night's not complete yet. We've got a pretty good discussion topic for this evening, so hopefully you'll be sticking around for that as usual. All right, we had Wayne check out for the evening. That's okay. Then we'll go over to Vito Alpha Delta 8 Oscar India. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir. What do you got for the group?
Alpha Delta 8 Oscar India here. How's everybody doing? Not much, sitting around trying to figure out my stochastic node and just keep getting these notifications from my solar weather app, and the sun seems like it's been really angry the past few days. I think we had an X8 solar flare on Sunday morning, and I think we had another X4 or something like that today or last night. And pretty impressive. Back to that.
Yeah, roger that. I have been seeing some intel about solar activity going across my amateur radio news feeds. Absolutely. So that could be affecting things. We'll keep on going, though. We'll go out to Joe there, W8KNO. Thanks for joining us tonight, my friend. What do you got for everybody?
Good evening, everyone. I wish you the best and stay inside, stay warm, and enjoy. I've shoveled the driveway, the sidewalk to the front porch, and what I couldn't get off is still there is white snow. And why I'm on tonight is I haven't been on the radio much this week, and this weekend is the Vermont, the Minnesota, and the British Columbia QSO parties, and I want to get on to that. I still need some counties in Minnesota, but so that'll be my big goal for this weekend. And with that, back to you, Nemo, W8KNO.
All right, very good. Yeah, that sounds like a good time. Maybe I'll jump in and listen to some of that. See what I can pick up. I got a friend with a USDX thing, SDR radio, and I got to help him figure that out. I might do that this weekend too. And this would be a good weekend to help him figure that out. If there's a QSO party going on, there'll be lots of stuff for him to listen to. How about it, Bruce, over there, Victor Echo 6, X-Ray Tango Charlie? How you doing, my friend? What do you got for everybody?
Well, I still haven't received my order of my telescoping antenna that I put in on January 23rd, and I checked it out on Amazon, and there was some sort of shipping snafu that happened, and so I have to wait till the 28th of this month before I get my telescoping antenna. So that's not very nice, but I hope to get it someday. And there's a fellow in New Mexico that recommended that I get a base plate for it that has screw terminals that I can put thicker wires on instead of the computer ribbon cable wires that come with the antenna. So I bought that. I think the idea was that it would make the antenna lighter if it had very thin counterplaces. Anyway, that's my report.
Well, hopefully it gets to you soon. I know I've heard some horror stories about shipping, even through Amazon. Occasionally they don't send them through their fulfillment centers / drivers, and I think I had one friend that literally had it delivered to him via the post office because Amazon gave up, and then they gave it to FedEx, and FedEx gave up, and then they sent it to the post office, and they had to get delivered to him via the postal service. And it ended up being a month late on his delivery for that particular order that he made. So it does happen on occasion, but generally speaking, they're pretty good about getting stuff to you right away. All right, we'll go down here to Frank, we'll go down to Dave, K8TIA. I would be remiss if I skipped over you there. Dad, good to have you with us tonight. What do you got for the group?
I'm really not quite sure. I mean, I did watch some of the weather things, and but because I have lots of tall trees around here, I can't see the sky enough. Besides, in pretty close to city lighting, being in the middle of Cleveland Heights, even though the backyard is facing north and stuff like that. I haven't seen the northern lights up here much, which with all the solar activity, I should be able to. That's what I would love to be able to see. I mean, I remember seeing them down in Cincinnati once. And boy, then it must have been a really hot solar set of flares back then, because they were visible all the way down in southern Ohio, which I thought was really great. And that was when I was doing six-meter work all the way out to Nevada from down there. Of course, a 5-element beam gives me enough that on axis, my 50-watt transmitter would come out to be almost 400 or something like that equivalent on axis. But that was kind of good then, and I would thank you for the aid to getting me back on the air again up here, clear and KETA, back to net control.
Roger that. And I have a complete HF rig sitting here for you, ready to go. And it's just sitting on my dining room table, all wrapped up in plastic. And all I got to do is get it out there. I've really just been waiting for a day when it has not been 20 degrees or negative 15 or negative 25 or whatever temperatures we've been having. Because I think I got negative 21 the one day when I turned the truck on. But hey, you know what? Negative 21 outside. I've got 70 degrees inside, so I'm happy. And that's on just the old wood burner, so I'm good to go. All right, we'll keep on moving down the list here. We'll go to Frank, KE8ZHH. Good to have you with us tonight, my friend. Neighbor down the road, what do you got for the group?
Because we're going to have that warp soon. Whoops, I think I timed out on my radio. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to some ice fishing. If nothing else bad happens before we get that warm spell. And that's about it. I hope everybody's doing well. And thanks for listening. This is KD8 ZHH. Back to net control.
Well, Frank, your mom is a sweet lady, and my best wishes are to her. I didn't know that she was not doing well, so you've got my prayers going out to her too. And man, she's come out to some club events a couple times and been a welcome sight there at those events too. So best wishes to her, and I'm glad to hear she's on the rebound there, man. Thank you for putting that out there, and hopefully everything's going to be okay with both her and your brother. That's kind of rough to have two people in your family go down at the same time like that, but quick recoveries to everybody, and thank you for sharing that, man. Appreciate it. And hopefully everything turns out okay. This is K8PVL with the Wednesday Night Joke Net. Before I get into tonight's discussion round, is there anybody that would like to check in? Please call K8PVL.
KE8YB in Mobile.
All right, Ken, I got you in there, K8YBN. I think there was another station in there with you, so that other station, come again.
LEARA recheck.
All right, Dan, I got you down for the recheck. Well, why don't we go ahead and take care of that first? N8DRL with the recheck. Go ahead.
I don't know what happened on my comment wrong, but the TX stopped, and I hit the wrong button at the wrong time, and it disconnected. So, anyhow, prayers out to Frank for sure. And his mom is very sweet, right? Yeah, I love her to death. And everybody have a good night tonight. And I'm not gonna stick around for the discussion round. Thank you, everybody, and LEARA.
All right, Dan, I'll put you in the station secure. Thank you for joining us, and appreciate you sticking around this long. All right, man, you lay down, get some rest, take good care of that leg, my friend. K8YBN, Ken, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Did you hear the joke?
Hello, I needed the joke. I just got in the car, late getting out of the Bible study, and I'm headed towards Erie.
Very good, sir. Tonight's joke was, what kind of bugs live on the moon? What kind of bugs live on the moon? And we are in the comment round, so go right ahead.
That's a tough one. I don't know for sure what kind of bugs live on the moon. I had no idea. You got me there. No, just the furnace was out at the Bible study. Had to get that taken care of, and called in a couple of people come in. All took care of by gratis, so it's all working good. But I'm mobile driving, headed north, so I've got to keep both hands on the wheel. Stay warm, guys, out there. Back to net.
All right, my friend, we'll hang out for a little while and take a listen to what's going on here. One more call out to anybody who would like to join the net. Please call KE8PVL. All right, nothing heard. So, hey, tonight is something pretty cool I got to talk about a little bit. So NASA, I know you guys know I like space stuff going on there. NASA's obviously, they got the Artemis II space mission crewed up and ready to go that's sitting on the launch pad. We talked a little bit about that maybe last night or the night before. Well, what I didn't know until just now or within the last day was NASA has selected 34 global volunteers to track the Orion spacecraft, which is the main craft that the Artemis crew is taking up on the mission to their journey around the moon. Of those organizations, they've got quite a few. Well, they've got 4 independent amateur radio operators who are just normal licensed guys, similar to you and me, but maybe some of them have a little bit better equipment. One of them's in Canada, and one's in South Dakota, and 2 are in California. But the list of amateur radio organizations, let's see, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different amateur radio organizations and educational organizations, including like, well, the organizational ones, just for instance, Motorhead State University stands out to me because that's one of my favorite bands. They're in Kentucky. But of the amateur radio organizations, both AMSAT Argentina, AMSAT Germany, this one's a mouthful, but I got to mention it. The Amateur Radio Exploration Ground Station Consortium of Townsend, Maryland is also a part of that. Deep Space Exploration Society from Coala County, Colorado, they're in there too. Bunch of amateur radio operators are going to be involved in tracking the spacecraft. So they picked up the volunteers for that. I already picked them. I didn't even know they were looking for them. But the Artemis II test flight will launch coming up here soon, carrying the Orion spacecraft and the crew of 4 astronauts on a mission into deep space around the moon, where they'll drop the Orion spacecraft off, is my understanding, and then come back. And that Orion spacecraft is the launching platform for the Mars mission. So, hey, we might actually see that at some point one day soon. That would be really cool. So, hey, some good news there. I'm glad to see that our NASA organization is up there doing its thing, and that they are working directly with amateur radio operators to make it happen. So that's where I'm at. Check it out at the NASA website. There's a link. I don't have the link, but if you go to, it's on the NASA website. Just search for the Artemis stuff, and you'll find it for sure. But they're establishing the telemetry and communication stuff for the deep space programs, and it looks like they're going to be involving amateur radio guys. So let me break for time. We'll go down the list. We'll talk about that a little bit. Well, we started with Dan, but he secured his station, and that's fine. Appreciate him being here. But we'll go down to Drew. That puts him in the hot seat now. Alpha 8, Delta Lima. How about it, man? Do you know anything about the Artemis mission, and have you been following that?
I didn't even know there was going to be one until last week. So it's crazy how unpublicized it is compared to how things used to be back in the day. I don't know if that's like a Cold War thing and we had to try to, one-up the Soviet Union and stuff. But yeah, other than being on the joke net, I wouldn't even have known that we were even going to try to go up towards the moon. So, Alpha 8, Delta Lima, back to net control.
Well, and, there was a certain part of the space program that was the one-upmanship with as part of the Cold War programming that happened all the way up through the 80s for the most part, even into the 90s, 80s for sure. A good chunk of it was I won't say a good chunk, but enough of it was that it was a consistent consideration in the space program. But and you're right, this stuff used to be front page news and shown on TV and all that stuff, and now it's taking a back seat to I don't know, other stuff. That's all I can say to that. How about it? We'll go down to, well, Ken, we'll let you keep driving. Just stick around. We'll go up to Jeff, KCA LAR. How about it, man? 34 global volunteers to track the Orion spacecraft on the Artemis II mission.
Yep, that's what I heard is 34. I know ARRL sent something out when, as well as AMSAT, when they were looking for volunteers. And my station's not ready, but hey, maybe we'll get a chance to follow along in the news, if nothing else. Maybe the next time around we'll have something a little bit better set up. But yeah, exciting times. Seems like the news has, that's the word I'm looking for, another agenda to cover, and they don't consider what science and technology, I guess they don't consider it news anymore. It's funny. I listen to a lot of AM and shortwave, and other countries seem to cover what I would consider news and in politics, and not who said on the Emmys or Grammys or whatever other show. But I guess you'll have that. So that's all I have. So we'll pass it back to Net Control. This is KCLAR.
Well, I have opinions on those things too, but I promised myself I wouldn't make a podcast or a radio show with about those things, so I don't. I might, I don't know. It is good to know though that, I mean, like I did like look up some of the independent people. I guess the one guy in South Dakota, he's a IT guy, runs an IT business out there. So if he's got a halfway decent sized IT company, he's probably a little bit better off for tracking that stuff than we are. Somebody in Colorado, that group in Colorado, they probably have the top of a mountain to play with. I don't know about the Fuki University in Japan there, but Kentucky, those guys down there, ever since that big flood that happened 2 years back, those guys have been taking amateur radio seriously, so I'm not a bit surprised to see one of their names in there. All right, we'll keep on going down the list here. We'll go down to we'll go to Vito, Alpha Delta 8, Oscar India, Vito +1. What are your thoughts on what's happening here?
I think it's pretty exciting. Don't know much about what's entailed in tracking the spacecraft, but I think it's fascinating. And much like Jeff, my station definitely isn't ready. Unlike Jeff, mine won't be ready for a lot longer. Back to Net, this is Alpha Delta 8 Australia.
Well, I'm right there with you on that, and I'm probably a few steps behind that even. But satellite telemetry tracking is something I would be interested in checking out. I believe it's possible for you to receive like the Mars rover signals back too. I don't know how that works, but I am interested in that end of amateur radio operations and just general radio surveillance scanning in general. So I don't know. I do think that this is gonna kind of usher in a new age of space communications with amateur radio operators. So I think it's a good thing for sure. How about it, Joe W8KNO, Artemis II mission? They're sending some folks up there, and a bunch of amateur radio operators are involved. What are your thoughts?
good evening to everyone. And you've been making me think about a lot of things and bringing back a lot of memories. I grew up outside of New York City. My father worked at the American Museum of Natural History, and of course the Hayden Planetarium was attached to it. And I met some of the people that spoke in there. And back in the 50s, they had a big exhibit of the different scales from all the planets if you went there. They talked about going there, but they didn't know how they would get there at that time. But it was interesting. And then while I was in the service, I did some tracking exercises with NASA. And then when I got out of the service, I worked for Environmental Growth Chambers. And we worked with NASA designing some lighting system in order that they could grow food in space, because they knew the trips were going to be long, and you wouldn't be able to take enough food even to get to Mars. So it's probably changed from food to yeast and some things like that now that I have no idea of. But just the thought of going there and the challenges are tremendous. And with that, back to you, Nemo.
Yeah, roger that. And actually, with all the leaps in robotic technology and AI stuff, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if our first Mars mission didn't involve just bipedal robots running AI stuff. Be a little scary to see that happen, but I'd be willing to bet that's going to be the first step. Drop 2 or 3 of those Tesla bots on the surface of the planet to kind of build all the shelters and everything, the receiving station for the live astronauts. I'd be willing to bet that's like in the books as part of the plan. How about it there, Bruce? Victor Echo 6 X-Ray Tango Charlie. NASA's sending some folks up, and amateur radio operators, including some in Canada, are going to be part of that effort. What are your thoughts?
Well, they'd have to build the... actually, first of all, that's an interesting idea. I read about it from a Google alert. I get stuff on amateur radio, and some of the stories are quite interesting. And as for going to Mars, they'll have to build all the shelters underground because of the powerful radiation that isn't screened out by the thin Martian atmosphere. I suppose if they were able to terraform it and get enough oxygen on there, there would be an ozone layer, and it would screen out all of the dangerous radiation. But as far as living on Mars, they would have to live underground in caves and whatever. They'd have to send robot diggers and whatever to get below the Martian surface and build the various caves and whatever.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like that movie that came out, what was that, just a few, well, maybe it was more than a few years now, but what was that, Red Planet, where the guy was living on the moon and he was the only survivor, and he had just like a deer hunting blind he was basically living in, trying to grow food with some plastic and some duct tape. Yeah, it wouldn't quite be like that, that's for sure. Be more like running, or more like Total Recall by the time you got done doing it. All right, we'll keep on going. We'll go down to Dave, KATIE. How about it, Dad? We've got 34 global volunteers. A good chunk of them, almost half of them, are amateur radio organizations tracking the Artemis II mission. What are your thoughts?
Well, if they're going to track it, they're going to probably need both azimuth, alpha, and direction, so that they can actually locate where the signal's origin from. Although they might be able to come up with a phase-spread array of receiving antenna modules to be able to take the phase shift out of multiple pieces of coax and track them that way. You know, whatever angle the signal comes in at, that's delays between the antennas and stuff. Various kinds of techniques like that might be fairly good for tracking it and getting an orbital info on it. So, I mean, we did that a little bit way back in the 60s, the very first amateur radio satellite that was set up on Oscar. And one guy had a couple of, he had about 2-meter antennas and set it up so that he could run a vertical angle and direction on it. We tracked those things for a while until the rotors started to rip out because they were too light a duty. But yeah, that sounds like a quite worthwhile thing. So I'm not sure which is the best technique, whether you put a couple of beams up and trying to have rotors in all directions, or whether you can take and use multiple antennas and use phase of received signals to determine the location. That would have the possibility of running a fixed beam. You don't have to have motors around. What do you think, KTIE? Back to that control.
Well, there was quite a bit of QRM in the background there, but I think we got the gist of what you were talking about, and I do think it's got I think multiple receiver antennas in one location, as long as they're spaced out quite a bit, would be fine. There's and I'm sure that's part of the reason why they're using so many different places. I know, like with the Doppler DF systems that they have for your car, there's only like 4 antennas that, maybe it's 5 antennas they stick right on top of your car, and those only need to be a couple inches apart. So picking up the feed, it shouldn't be that big of a difficult thing to do. I know you could talk to the space station with an HT in your hand if you do it right. So even normal amateur radio operators should have a shot at it. Anyway, all right. This is K8PVO with the Wednesday Night Joke Net. We'll go over to Frank, K8ZHH. How about it, my friend? NASA's putting a bunch of amateur radio operators to the test.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I don't know too much about the Artemis project here. I think I seen an article where they had to delay the launch because of leaking valves and stuff a couple days. It might have been another spacecraft or satellite launch or something. I'm not sure. It was the Artemis. I'd just like to say, man, what an incredible history we have. I had to look it up, but back in 1903, the Wright brothers took off, and the first lighter than air, or heavier than air machine aircraft, of course, y'all know, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and that was around 123 years ago, and look out where we are now. It's pretty amazing in that short of, it don't seem that short amount of time, but if you look at mankind's history, how long it went from inventing the wheel to forging, metals and other stuff like that. That is a short time, man. And things are just getting faster and faster and faster, man. It's pretty wild. And yeah, I hope the Artemis project takes off. And yeah, in my opinion, it's a real good thing. And with that, send back to that control. It's K8ZHH.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, when you look at the timeline of how long we've been on this planet and how far we've come in certain stretches of time, you know, it's just amazing. We live in some very interesting times right now on this planet, and I know I hear people say I have a couple friends who are in their 20s, and they're saying, I'm not sure I'm liking the world I'm going to be adulting in, but the technologies that are coming down the pike, if believed with their potential, you know, people say, oh, it's as revolutionary as the airplane and, you know, the automated factory and the automobile. Sure, if all of that was developed within 5 minutes, and the computer and the telephone, maybe that would be a comparison. But it's pretty cool what's coming down around the corner. I just hope we, as people, generally speaking, around the globe, have the collective wisdom to manage it correctly. But I don't know. If not, then I want my battle mech, and I want it before I get too old to fly it. So hey, that's the way I see it. Anyway, this is KE8PVL with the Wednesday Night Joke Net. That rounds out the list that I have for the comment rounds. Is there anybody else that would like to check in, or anybody that would like to recheck? Please call. All right, nothing heard. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and put a bow on it, and we'll close the net out. Thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. Without you, this net couldn't happen. I'd also like to thank all those currently in service and retired from service to our country. Your sacrifices will not be forgotten. Ashtabula County Amateur Radio Club, thank you guys for making this repeater available to us every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Be good to each other, everybody. KE8PVL is clear.